I'm here with Justin, the host of Muttons in the morning, having char siu in the afternoon.
Perfect.
In this video, I'm going to speak with Justin, who is the co-host of Singapore's #1 morning radio show, to hear his views on whether EVs, electric vehicles, will mean the end of internal combustion engine ICE vehicles, and what this means for all of us, not just in Singapore, but probably our region as well. Click subscribe and stay updated to more videos like this. Justin, what should the audience know about you?
Well, where do I start? I host a radio show called Muttons in the Morning. So if you tune into Muttons in the Morning every single morning, thank you, Class 95. We're here in a restaurant that I co-run as well, called Fukin. We're about to dig into some char siu. And I got my first Tesla 4 months ago.
Congrats.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, this is Justin's restaurant, and as we hear just over a meal, I'll ask Justin a couple of questions about his experience on just cars. You've actually been following the car industry for a long time. You've been a driver for a long time.
Been a big car fan for many years. I'm a little bit ashamed to say that I have bought and sold many cars. I've changed cars more often than I should. I think I've lost count, but I think it's 8 cars in 20 years. I think.
How did EVs come into the picture?
Oh, okay. How much time do you have? So EVs came into the picture because of Tesla, right? I read about Tesla. I kind of knew about Tesla, and it was this cool electric car. But here in Singapore, for many years, we had no access to it. You know, we could only watch it on YouTube and stuff like that. So 2017, I want to say, I was in Las Vegas for a holiday, and I found this app, which I believe you also used recently, called Turo, that allowed you to rent other people's cars. You know, so first of all, I was like, that's a damn good idea. You know, like, I don't think they'll ever allow that in Singapore, but it's America, right? So like, okay, so maybe this is my chance to rent somebody's Tesla, you know? So I rented a Model X. It was, at the time, still is, the biggest Tesla, you know, kind of fits me. So I rented it. It was not cheap at all. It was 300 USD a day or something like that. But immediately I was just blown away. You know, like it drove like a dream. Those gull wing doors, and we're not even talking about the X Plaid, which you can get today. We're talking about the 2017 X. This was when it kind of first came out. You know, and it's like, wow, what a brilliant car. But on the other hand, is it really a car? Because it's, you know, so at that time, 2017 was like, oh, so that's when I first knew about Tesla, and then I started reading about EVs and how, you know, everybody's slowly making that transition. But in my mind, the unicorn was Tesla. It was like, one day I'll get a Tesla, but for one reason or another, we just weren't getting it in Singapore. Yeah. So
Our perception of EVs in Singapore, for many of us, it first starts with the very humble blue SG, the UFO car.
yeah.
Then Teslas are like the gangster of EVs.
Okay, for me, I would say I first like, whoa, there are EVs in Singapore with the BMW i8. Yeah, I think that was when there was an i3, which was a small one, and I was like, wow, those are really cool. You know, I think that was the first turn of the switch that, okay, there are going to be electric vehicles in Singapore. You know, but at the time, you read all sorts of things, true or not, that, oh, Singapore wasn't welcoming Tesla, you know, Tesla might never come here. And I was a little bit sad because I'm like, man, but that's the one I know everybody's looking forward to.
3 years ago, EVs were a niche, 0.3% of all cars, new sales.
Yeah.
This year to date, 8.4% of all cars in new sales.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be closer to more than 20% of all new car sales by next year. So I want to get your thoughts, Justin. A century ago, when automobiles first came about, very quickly, horses stopped becoming a form of mass transportation.
Yeah.
They still exist
Yeah.
as recreation, something you see in other places, but not on roads nowadays.
Yeah.
What's your take on the EV transition over the next 10 years? Do you think it's going to be like cars and horses?
No. My personal take is that Singapore, specifically Singaporeans, we have a lot of inertia to change. So I feel like the transition from petrol to EV is inevitable, but it will take a very long time. I know there is the plan of 2030 or 2040. I can't remember the exact date, but I think there'll be a lot of resistance, and I think inevitably there's going to be okay, we'll give you another 5 years. Okay, we'll give you another 5 years to do that transition. So I feel like it's going to be a very long time before it becomes only EVs, but it is inevitable. We will get there. Maybe when I'm 70, but we will get there.
You got a chance in your role to meet people all over the region. You travel a lot.
Yeah.
How's your take on where Singapore stands on adopting EVs? Like, are we very far behind? We're somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
We're definitely not Norway or mainland China.
Yeah. I don't think we're very far ahead. I think we're on pace with many countries in the world. And that is too many unknowns. I feel like that is where the state that we're at now. You have, you've said the figures, 8.4% of new car registrations, but over 90% of people are still unsure or they don't know what EV ownership is like. And I think it's important for people like you, for people like me, in the position we're in to. I don't want to use the word educate because I don't know if that's our responsibility, but just to spread the word that this is the future, this is what sustainability is all about, and in the most layman of terms, my God, the amount of money you save. Forget about the environment. Save money. Why wouldn't you want to save money and pay significantly less for car maintenance, for running a car? Why wouldn't you?
Yeah, fair point. Justin says forget about money. I'm forgetting about EVs now because good food is waiting for us here.
Please.
We're going to dig in,
Yeah.
and later on, we'll check out Justin's Model 3.
Some people say, not to toot my own horn, that is the best chassis in Singapore. So, it's all yours.
This video is not brought to you by Singapore Tourism Board. Thank you, Justin, for the amazing char siu earlier.
Oh, anytime. Please come back to Phuket. Anytime, always welcome.
Now we're here, we want to ask you, how do you get the Tesla Model 3?
How did I get the Model 3? Okay, so I was considering it, and then you've got all these things getting in the way, like COE and stuff like that, right?
Very high.
Yeah. So I was driving a 5 Series at the time. I was very happy with it. But I had told a friend of mine who runs a used car shop that, hey, if a Tesla ever comes in, and at the time Tesla had just launched, right? If a Tesla ever comes in, just let me know lah, And at the time I was thinking, who's gonna sell a Model 3 after 3-4 months, right? So it was just one of those passing comments. Not long after she called me, she was like, hey, I know someone who wants to let it go. Not even looking to make a profit, just wants to let it go. Like, really? Is it officially from Tesla or was it a PI? No, it's from Tesla. It's 4.5 months, almost 5 months old. Very low mileage. Do you want it? I'm like, I think I can't say no. I mean, I was telling you the story just now of how it became a bit of a unicorn for me. Like I want to get a Tesla one day.
Yeah.
So it's like, this seems to be my opportunity. It's knocking on my door, and I was certain at that price, if I didn't buy it, the next day 4 other people would be queuing up to buy it. So I was like, let's do it. Let's do it. And just to complete the fairy tale, because the COE was so high, and I bought my 5 Series a few years ago, I made money selling the 5 Series.
It's insane.
Yeah, so it's like, it's a win-win. Like I can't say no.
Everything happens for a reason, and right now as we are filming, the COE for Category B is $107,000. Why?
Category E.
Category E, more than $110,000, so record, all-time highs.
Insane.
Teslas are still relatively new in Singapore. We
Yeah.
only officially had them for less than a year plus.
Yeah.
So a friend told me when a taxi uncle saw the T logo in Tesla, they thought, is this a new version of Toyota? So not everyone's aware of this car yet.
Absolutely, yeah.
Not everyone can tell that this is an EV yet.
Yeah.
For a layman, how would you describe this Model 3?
I would say, this Model 3, yes, it is the entry level, right? But it is the moment for me when the first iPhone came out. I was one of the few people in Singapore who parallel imported the first iPhone when it came out in 2008, I want to say. Yeah. And it was that moment, it's like, what is this thing? Like, okay, let's give it a shot. But it changes your life. It changes your world, you know. It changes your lifestyle. It is a lifestyle change to move to an EV. And I think for anybody who has never been in a Tesla Model 3, has never got to experience one firsthand, you know, there are quite a number of them out there now. I think Daren has the exact number in his head, right? You do, right?
Growing, it's more than 1,200 in Singapore
There
now.
you go. Yeah. It won't be difficult to find someone who has one, you know. Sit in it, experience it, it will blow your mind.
People ask, you've had so many cars, many good cars as well,
Yeah.
from all continents.
Mm.
What's the big deal? What can this car do that the others can't?
It's to me, it's not about what it can do or can't do. That every car can do something that maybe someone else can't, but within a year, someone else can do it already. The point is that this car is going to change the way that people drive. It's going to change the way that people look at vehicles. It's going to change the way that people live their life. Because, like I said, it is a lifestyle change. I will admit that. There is a little bit more to think about when you drive an EV, especially when it comes to public charging and stuff like that. But it is that moment where you cross the line that it goes like, okay, I'm stepping into this new world, and I dare say, myself included, 99% of people who step into the EV world will never step back. Because, you know, they've experienced what it's like, and they'll love it.
The experience is one thing. You notice that this car is a brilliant red.
Yeah. Oh,
Why do you want a red car?
yeah. I mean, there's always this myth, right? Is it red cars cause the most accidents, or red cars always get caught by the police? Something like that, right? So, my mom taught me that. You know, no, don't buy a red car. I've always loved red. I've always loved the color red. A lot of the things that I buy, I try to get a red version of it, you know. But in my entire life, I actually never had a red car. I've always gone with the safe black or white. Previously, I thought of, okay, whatever car I had, maybe I spray it red. But there's always this thing about, oh, if you spray a car, value drops, blah, blah, blah. So I've never ever resprayed a car before. But when wraps came out, it is a reversible process, you know. So when wraps first came out, I was like, oh, maybe this is the time to do it, you know. So when I finally decided on the Model 3, like most Model 3s, mine was white, you know, the base color. Immediately, I thought of red. You know, so I called my wrap guy, and he's like, I've got this great red for you. Look, I wrapped 2 Teslas with it. It looks beautiful. So I was like, oh, okay, show it to me. And it's like, okay, done. It's so nice. I think this is the nicest car in terms of color that I've ever had.
It is certainly striking. Now we're going to head inside and have a conversation with Justin about the implications of owning an electric vehicle in Singapore, what it means for someone like Justin, who is a role model for some of us. Definitely many of us know of him. We've all grew up with Muttons in the morning. Let's talk about that inside the Tesla.
Let's do it. All right. Welcome in. Welcome in.
Thank you for inviting me into your Model 3.
Oh, thank you. Welcome to my sanctuary. You know, I like my cars to be this little space where I decompress. Sometimes I have full-on meals in my car, and with the Model 3s, it happens even more often sometimes when charging. So yeah, welcome.
One unique thing about your latest car compared to all your old ones is that you used to have a whole range of knobs, dials, and buttons. This time, it's very evidently missing, almost like screaming at you that it's not there.
I went through a phase, and I don't know if a lot of people can identify with this. I went through a phase, because I'm a techie, right? That I loved cars with a lot of buttons. The more the merrier, because the more buttons means the car can do more things. So I went through that phase, and I bought a few cars, and wow, so many buttons, you know, like what does each one do? So when I first saw the Model 3, I was like, how does this car work? There are no buttons, you know? And then I realized, you know, everything moves into the screen, and a lot of people, you would have heard say that it really is an iPad, like an iPad in your car. And I was like, you don't need the buttons because everything moves here. It's even more techy. It's even more geeky now because the screen controls the entire car. So I love it. Now, of course, there are some quirks to it. Other Model 3 owners will tell you that Of course, it's annoying to have to navigate menus to open the glove box, for goodness sake. But, you know, every car has its a few flaws that you have to live with. So overall, very, very happy with now a minimalist car. I think it's such a cool design and such a wonderful, like, if anybody's never been in a Model 3 and I give them a lift, they're like, wow, what is this? You know, and it becomes a wonderful talking point, which is great.
This car is, to some people, minimalist to a fault.
Right.
Glove box, as Justin was saying. You see how to open. You get a friend or your kids come in, open the glove box. There's nothing to open.
Nothing.
Everything is in this screen.
Yeah.
And Justin, your screen is a bit special from a normal Tesla. What's going on here?
Okay, so one of the things you can do to zeng the interior of your Tesla is actually a swivel screen. So if you would see, now this screen actually can tilt left and right. Now, by default, the screen actually faces straight, which is fine, you know. But when I found out that there was actually a little thing you can do, it's not very expensive. I think 200 odd. You can pay some shops to do it. You install this thing where you actually get to swivel it to face you as the driver, and it becomes so much more immediately. I mean, that was what, a 15-degree angle. It immediately becomes a cockpit because everything faces you, the driver. So this is one of the no-brainer things to do. Now, if you do it today, there are even swivels that go up and down, which mine doesn't even do. So it won't be difficult for you to find.
One thing that's missing in a lot of Teslas is, in Singapore, we normally see a dash cam in the car. What's going on? How do you record your road?
So with every Tesla, and it comes part of the package, there's this thing called Sentry Mode, which actually you can turn on and it records everything around the car with every camera that they've placed around the car when you're parked. And you can actually review the footage later, everything done on this screen. So most Tesla owners, I think some still do, but most Tesla owners don't bother with an in-car camera because it's just an added expense that you don't need.
The one watch out with that Sentry Mode, the in-car camera, it takes up battery. So I think every day, if you just leave it in the car park for 8 hours.
Yeah. Oh, but again, you know, call me a shill, but Tesla's so clever, right? Because you can actually program Sentry Mode to not activate when you're at home or you're parked in your office. Two places where it's very unlikely anyone's going to break into your car. So it will only turn on when you're parked in unfamiliar places, which is honestly not that many hours a day. So it won't drain battery as much. It's all built in, guys. It's all built in.
As we're talking about all this, I just can't help but to almost draw parallels. It's like how we move from Nokia, Blackberries to iPhones. And we're seeing the same thing in cars right now.
Yeah. I think, you know, this comparison has been made quite a bit. I've heard you say it as well, Daren, that, you know, the Tesla is the iPhone moment because when Apple built the iPhone, they built it from the ground up. They never did a phone before. And they built it from scratch, trying to create, not a phone. I think, I'm sure I'm quoting him wrongly, but Steve Jobs said that this is an internet on the go. I think the word's similar to that, you know. So he didn't think of it as a phone. He thought of it as a separate device that they built from scratch. And I think that's exactly what Tesla did as well. They didn't set out to build just a vehicle. They set out to build the smartest, most efficient thing on wheels, you know, and they built it from the ground up. So I think that's the key to this whole thing. And with what they've done, and thankfully they did it well, you know, a lot of people get to enjoy the fruits of their labor.
Yeah, many years ago, when Steve Jobs first announced the iPhone in 2007, they never made phones before. This was a computer company.
Yeah.
Today, Tesla is one of the newest car companies in the world. They don't have centuries of car making experience. It's very, very different. But for Justin and many owners of Tesla, the whole point here isn't just owning a car that is amazing, there's a lot of software features. It actually spells a broader shift in our society. So we're going to have that conversation in the rear passenger seat. You get to see the beautiful glass roof as well. We're here in the back seat of Justin's Model 3. You see the beautiful glass roof behind us.
Thank you for asking me to come to the back seat, by the way, because this is the first time in my own back seat. I'm not, I'll be honest, I'm not actually gone into the back seat before because I've just realized that any slight movement, I conk my head on the glass because it's so slopey. But I'm a bit tall, so it will happen for people like me. But thankfully, that's my seat right up front.
I'm 176 cm and there's about one fistful of space. For audience reference, how tall are you?
I'm 1.8.
Okay.
1.8. So at the moment, it's still fine. But the moment I move up a little bit, I conk already. Yeah. So, but it's inevitable with the slopey roof. Of course, the other way is just a slouch downwards. You know, so it's all good.
Well, good for you. No, this is after all still a sedan. You want something a bit higher?
Yeah.
You get an SUV like a Model Y.
There you go. Launching soon.
Coming soon. Few more months to go.
Yeah.
Now that you've got this Tesla,
Yeah.
many people in Singapore will recognize you. So when people recognize you, they see Muttons in the morning got a Tesla. What does it mean?
I think no, I'm not gonna go as far as to say that people see me drive a Tesla, they go and buy a Tesla, because if that's the case, then I won commission. I think what it does is it starts conversations, which I really enjoy, because a lot of people have in the last 3 months, that I posted online basically that at the Tesla, a lot of people have started asking me questions, like, oh, what's it like, do you have trouble charging, so on and so forth. And I think I mentioned just now that I think Singapore is a country of great inertia. We take very long to accept and adapt to change. So the more conversations that we have, the better, because a lot of people are very unsure. They're still very unsure what it's like to own an EV, the challenges that they might face. So the more EV owners speak to non-EV owners and they go like, oh, you mean that charges everywhere? I thought it's only in like 1 or 2 malls. No. And then I open up the Plug Share app, and I'm sure there's more than one of these apps, and show them like, look, everywhere you turn there is a charger. Seriously, it's not difficult to find one. They go like, oh wow, okay, then I'll start considering it. Of course, then they see the COE price and they get scared. But that is another conversation for another day.
You come into the conversation, people see Justin's riding an EV, and it seems to be okay going on so far. It's about 4 or 5 months in now. 4 or 5 months, and I'll just say this now. I have the opportunity. I'm lucky enough to be able to install a charger at home, but guess what? I did not. I decided not to, because it still costs a bit of money to install a charger at home, and to me, I'm like, public charging is really very easy. It really is. Everywhere I turn, there is a charger. There are even times I found where I drive into a mall and they're like, oh my god, it's a charger, but I've got 94% battery, I don't need to charge, So it's really not difficult to find chargers at all. And I'm like, by paying 2,000, 3,000, whatever the amount is, to install the charger at home, that's going to negate a bit of my savings. I'm just going to stick with public charging, and it's actually been a wonderful ride so far. Have you had any conversations now that you've had an EV for a couple of months, where people bought an EV because of it, or they told you, hey, I'm planning to get an EV?
There have been a couple. In fact, it's a very typical Singaporean friend thing. It's like, hey, us Tesla can get discount. I'm like, I don't think Tesla gives discounts, but yeah, I mean, people are like, wow. And then when they hear that the SUV is coming in, boom, that is the one that they want to get. So I think a lot of people are getting interested. Many friends, people have DM'd me on Instagram and all that to ask questions about it, which I very happily will reply anybody who asks about EV ownership and all that. But it, like we were saying, it's a long way to go, one at a time.
Tesla is very popular in EVs. You've had a long history working in many car companies, many energy companies as well. How do you see them working towards the transition to EVs?
I think, and don't get me wrong, I don't speak for them. I think a lot of them don't want to, but they have to. You know, many countries like Singapore, there's a mandate of by a certain year, we're not going to sell ICE cars anymore. You know, so I think that's going to force progress. It's going to force people to innovate and to come up with better and better EV products. I mean, don't get us wrong, right? This Tesla Model 3 or the Model Y or the Model S is amazing, but these are the first cars. In 20 years, EVs will look very different and they'll be 20 times better because everybody's going to be forced to innovate, and that, to me, is the best catalyst. You know, when you're comfortable, when you're sitting there, you're never going to want to spend money on R&D to make great products. But when you are forced to, you have to. And I think we as consumers, we as drivers will eventually benefit from that.
Thank you, Justin, for sharing your story, giving us a tour of your Model 3, a little bit of the add-ons that you added in. I love the swivel screen and great char siu.
Oh, thank you again. You're invited back to Phuket at any time. And thank you for inviting me on your channel. You know, I've been a fan. I started watching your channel just as I was researching before I got my Model 3. You know, I was so jealous when I saw you at Giga Texas. I was like, oh, I need to be there one day. And because of you, I've also started investing a little bit into Tesla. So thank you very much.
To the moon. I'll put a link down for you to find out more about Justin and Vernon, Muttons in the Morning, to listen to them on Class 95 FM, 6 a.m. every day. And also a link to their Instagram page. Yeah.
Hey, if you guys have any questions about EV ownership, Tesla ownership, what it's like, you know, all the changes you need to make to your lifestyle to get an EV to fit in, go ahead, drop me a DM anytime, Muttons Instagram, and I'll be happy to answer any of those questions.
If you found this video useful, please click the like button, hit subscribe to stay updated to more videos on Tesla. Take care, everyone.
Thank you. See you guys.